Hello, 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 hello. Hello guys. In today's live, I'll be just making the notes which I've left incomplete from all the chapters. Like chapter one, I have not made the notes for connect and options method, and in the HTTP parameter pollution, as you can see, there is no notes at all. So I need to make notes for this, and for the CSRF section. Apart from authentication, I haven't made any notes for any other section. So I'll go step by step, and it may take me some time to make the notes. But yeah, this anyways, we are win-win situation because while making the notes, I'll also be doing some revision, obviously, right? So it would be a win-win situation for me, and the detailed notes will help you guys as well. So you could just go and view the notes. If you want to, you could go and read the book as well. But if you don't want to and like want to get the information in a clear and concise manner, you could just go into my notes and read it through. And I hope with just viewing or reading the notes, you could gain what the knowledge is and hopefully implement it in the real world using some bug hunting methods, right? So let's get started with chapter one, and the section was uh, section was it's so many sections. Yeah, the connect method, right? Let me just clear the formatting. Yeah, right. So you know what I use for this learning the bug hunting, mm, the bug hunting technologies and methodologies is that the book doesn't have any, or we could say that does not have all the complete information about the topic. So I just sometimes you use articles from different websites, and more often than not I use Claude for helping me giving an explanation, a detailed one. I ask questions with whatever questions I have in my mind. I ask it to the cloud, and it gives me my answers back to me. And I always use this method called, making an analogy out of the technology I am learning. And for me personally, uh, learning something with analogy helps me, remember it for a long time and retain the information for a long time, right? So let's get started. Uh, Content tab. So we already covered the connect method in detail earlier in our conversation. Quickly about what connect is and what it does. A tunnel concept explains simply what it exists, why it exists, why HTTP, yes, to proxies. Okay, let me just share my screen altogether because just sharing this Microsoft OneDrive page doesn't seem to be working. Fine. I'm starting to have a pain on my right shoulder. I don't know why. Maybe I'm using it in the wrong position, I guess. Entire screen. Yeah, shit. So I've already covered. So we had already, I had already learned about the connect method, but again, I need to recap it and make the notes, right? So, okay. HTTP and nothing separate even and SSRF connect for scanning through open proxies or virtual processes tested as usually HTTP methods for counter relevance and how to test it whether it's still relevant in 2026 cross-site tracing. Yes, unlike cross-site tracing. So there was a vulnerability called cross-site tracing. So I didn't talked about it in my videos because it was not relevant in 2026 because it was already more or less fixed in the web uh, around like 2012 or something like that. So I'll be not talking about this at all because it's not relevant, right? So we're going to find some people right to come into more thorough responses in our session today, covering everything from the simple white pattern energy to full security application. Why would I? It is telling me to just scroll up. No, I no. I want the full detailed response again. I I don't want to scroll up. To this connect, while all other methods deal with data on the server, connect is completely different. It says, don't give me any data, just build me a tunnel so I can talk directly to someone else through you. Alright, so connect is exclusively used with proxies. It is never used to communicate directly with the destination server. Okay, let's just note it down, right? Connect connect method is is always used. Just need to magnify it a bit. Always used with a proxy or okay with proxies. All right, with proxies. It is never used to directly. What is the shortcut for changing a tab in a window? Let me just find it out. It's becoming too tedious for me to just hold the mouse and change the tab with my mouse. Shortcut to change the tab in a MSH browser. CTRL plus tab to switch to the next tab. CTRL to the previous tab. Alright, CTRL plus tab. Okay, it's CTRL. It's not Alt. Alt plus tab changes the window, and CTRL plus tab changes the. Okay, alright. Let me just, yeah, it does. CTRL plus tab changes the tab, and Alt plus tab changes the window. It's noise directly. Data on the server connect is proxies communicate directly with that. It's directly communicate or deal with a oh shit. I think I need to find a new note making app. This is not working as it should be. Just to like itchy. This actually is first understand what is a proxy. A proxy is a middleman server sitting between you and the internet browser destination server. Yeah, I already talked about it this in the previous videos. Anyway, travel and journey and the navigation limited directly. The problem connects to the non-proxy point for HTTP. Station. Give end-to-end proxy and there is no modify anything. Proxy doesn't know what to forward. Okay, normal proxy. Sorry. essentially blind encrypted your connections if you are connected to a certain one browser sends connect to proxy, sends connect to proxy. Yes, website.com. Even after having four sachets of coffee, I'm still feeling very sleepy and all. I don't know what I should be doing to stay alert, but this is the best I can do. Having coffee is, I think, what everyone does. No, send connect to proxy, connect to set on port 443. Alright. So HTTP 1 200 connection established. That is now open browser. Okay, also just process spikes. When the proxy becomes a blind page news data because no able to read or modify anything of it. Simple anything of the telephone operator in our list. Oh yeah, I read about this analogy. When the phone operator in the previous day, what they used to do is just imagine the phone operator in the context of HTTP. They connect you with the person whom you are wanting to call, and as they are sitting in the middle in the HTTP, they can hear every conversation, and obviously the data is not secure, right? And in the context of HTTPS, the phone operator just connects you, and he's not able to hear anything what you're talking with, what you're talking with the person with whom you are on call with. And yeah, this is in the context of HTTPS because the data is encrypted, right? So the proxy is the telephone operator, and they can't hear anything. So this is exactly what this analogy is talking about. So I'll not be reading this because obviously I cannot hear anything. Obviously, I know that. Yeah. So one thing to keep in mind is 443 is always used HTTPS. Not I wouldn't say always, but it is like a rule. We could say an unofficial rule in the web that 443 will always be used for HTTPS and 80 would be used for HTTP. So SSH is like when you want to log in into a remote machine, right? And 25 is for email server, SMTP, right? Brother tells the this correct is a two fix of Uganda Academy, which are one if it's go on a from where one is on a persistent to return the destination, persistent of the channel, not just a single request, it must not connect as a nobody. Connect website.com. Performing nothing else is the entire is a service of connect and security Wi-Fi. This your complete employee use company proxy to browse the internet. Proxy allows connection connect to port 443. Employee can browse HTTPS site. Malicious use SRF via SSRF. SSRF. I forgot what SSRF stood for. CSR which cross-site request for the SSRF is what server-side request for the earth. Server-side request for tree. Server accepts connected without proper balancing access. Direct internal database that company.com 532 proxy connects to internal database that is not meant to be public. The attacker now has a direct internal to internal infrastructure. This is called server-side request for it is a critical vulnerability. Alright, so I'll keep this in mind, right? Port scanning via connect. Attacker use connect to scan internal ports and connect internal server.com. This is nice capability. So better. Proxy. Standard codes, code application report. This was honking continuously. People with zero civic sense. Honking is a language in India. Unnecessary honking. I couldn't say proxy. Still is going on with the honking. Man. There might be some person who had just park their car or bike in the middle of the street, or no, not parked in the right place, and the traffic is blocked, I guess, and there's continuous honking going on because I live just nearby or just beside a busy road, so this is a everyday thing for me. Okay, still yes, there is nothing to do with God or the other side. Microservices, no internal services, misconfigured proxy, still welcome consistently OWASP. Top 10 OWASP, Open Web Application Security, and P stands for okay. OWASP, I just forgot what OWASP stood for. Everywhere there are this Bollywood people, everywhere. They have nothing to contribute to the society and just, they're, they're fast full form. Full form should be full. Full form. Open Web Application Security Project. Okay. Open Web Application Security Project. Alright. I just keep forgetting the abbreviations and the full forms. I need to, I think, make a flashcard sort of a thing to keep revising. Okay, has body, no, needs ID. Connect doesn't need an ID, item potent. Okay, item potent means like every time you send the same request and something new happens. When something new happens every time, it is not idempotent, right? Like post example we talked about, like whenever you post a comment, if you send the request, which send the comment like 100 times, there will be 100 comments in the same post, right? So in all other you know methods, it doesn't work that way. No matter how many times pull this, send this, get, put, delete, trace, upload. It no more resources are created on the server, or no more resources are deleted. Like if there is something account, right? Like there is my account archive@gmail.com, and I delete my account through a delete method. So if I send that email 100 times, it doesn't mean that my uh, email would be deleted 100 times, because the email was deleted in the first instance of the server receiving the delete request, right? And all other 99 requests doesn't do anything new to the server, right? So this is what idempotent is in this simple terms. Use directly with the server. Okay, proxy only. Completion rate high. Okay, trace is slow. Using outside now, writing anything on okay. HTTP method exclusively to proxy service increase HTTP method exclusively used in proxy servers to establish a persistent two-way encrypted network between client and destination. The purpose allowing HTTP traffic to pass through proxies whose proxies cannot read encrypted content. Alright, there's the perspective. Since proxies cannot read encrypted content, connectors the proxy to simply pass bytes blindly without reading them. From a security perspective, misconfigured proxy that allows unrestricted connect requests is extremely dangerous. Attackers can use it to tunnel into infrastructure, scan internal ports, or access services never meant to be public, making it a high severity finding when discovered within bug bounty programs and unlike XST, which browsers killed long ago. SSRFI Connect remains fully relevant and actively exploitable in 2026. So, the first question I have is why proxies. I may have some incomplete, information about proxies. That's why I'm asking this question. So there's no shame in not knowing something and trying to find out information about that. So I may my knowledge of proxies may be incomplete, so that's why this question has cropped up in my mind. So I'll be asking this question to Claude and let's see how Claude react to it. Okay, let's on it 4.6. Let's change the effort is low, right? Let's make it to not max but medium, I guess. The person why proxies need to read the data going through it in the first place. Okay, before asking this question, I need to note down something. Some things from okay to living open right. Check this okay, yeah. So time for is the greatest problem. Modifying it. Conscious of but as the traffic in HTTP HTTP has traffic in HTTPS and with that the proxies can't read the data and connect solves this by creating a tunnel proxy proxy where and the data process without certain issues and CRI using data. So why do proxies need to oh, wow, what is wrong with my typing, man? I'm making so many mistakes. The proxies need to read the traffic. Oh, I think the position of this keyboard is a little off. I'm used to typing in some manner, and this keyboard position is taking my fingers exactly that place. And it so happens that there are different keys at that place where a different key should be, like in the place of R, there is E because the R is adjacent to our E, and the keyboard is shifted a bit to the right. So instead of pressing R, I'm pressing E by mistake. The process the traffic. Oh, oh, and first this. So let's just highlight this with bold. Right. Okay, just answer this. Sure. And didn't offer. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, close down the fire. Okay, let's turn on the person. Oh, this is so interesting, man. So the first thing why proxies need to, read data is like in the context of corporates, content filtering. So just imagine I'm a employee in a company, and while on the working hours, I'm visiting Facebook or Instagram, and proxies read that uh, data which going to the request and finds out that the domain to which the request is going is to the facebook.com or the meta.com, right? Or I mean instagram.com. Proxy blocks the request because we are obviously not allowed to browse the internet or waste our time on social media while in the working hours, right? So number two is caching. Caching simply means that suppose there are like with the same concept, I'll explain it through my own example, right? So let's just imagine a college, right? Or no, let's just dump the example for college. Let's just take a company only. Let's just imagine there is a training session, upskilling session going on for a company, and they have a proxy in the network through which the traffic flows, right? So the company people are visiting the Udemy. I just guess that they have hosted the course on Udemy, right? The company has hosted the course on Udemy. So the people who are taking the course are visiting the udemy.com and the specific website URL again and again. So because the website is being visited again and again, the proxy cache the information from the website, right? So proxy use the because of the overload. Proxies are used because of the overload in this scenario, in the caching scenario, because overload is what I have explained earlier or talked about earlier in my notes. I'm not talking about it in the video, but in the notes I've talked about that overload is something when the resources of the computer or the network are being used unnecessarily, right? So because in every request you have to obviously, when you know to the data that this particular URL is being visited again and again, so the most intuitive thing to come up with is that just cache the website, and whenever a next person is trying to visit that website, you just pull a copy of the website from the cached section, right? So this saves a lot of and the request doesn't need to reach to the web server of udemy.com, right? Because the cache information is already present in the proxy or in the web server of the company itself, right? So I need to exactly find out where this information is, cached information stays. But for now, understand it either stays in the proxy or in the web server of the company itself, right? Or I may be wrong as well, but still, you got the gist of the example, right? So number two is caching. Number three is security scanning. Yeah, this is like very, we would say necessary, but not many companies are doing it, I guess. Not all companies. Many companies would be doing, but not all companies might be doing this. So employee is visiting something. Let's just imagine this window, which you are able to see right here, right? This is my corporate machine, and I'm using internet on my machine, and I go to like some just let's go to this website. Free AI model is huggingface.com or .co, and here we can find the AI models which we can download and run it on our local machine. So let's just imagine there is a vulnerable or there is a you know malicious model present in this just imagine this model is, I guess, malicious, right? Xi or GLM 5.2 is malicious, and I download this model, and there is information in the security scanning, filter that anything that comes from this website or this website URL, which is slash models, again paste that code slash models, is a vulnerable, we could say, attachment or a file, right? So when it downloads it, what happens is that just because there is already a filter that anything that comes through this URL is vulnerable, it just blocks the download and drops it right there. So this is a very useful, or I could say that very I would say very important, and very useful, important, and right use of proxies. And the reason for is logging and monitoring, as I have already talked about in the content filtering section. This is relating to that section only. Logging and monitoring, you need to say which websites employee visit, how much bandwidth is being used, whether anyone is leaking data or not, right? This comes under that, we could say spying, right? Some people might argue that there's no privacy or something, but when you are in a company's machine, there's not there's nothing called privacy, because if you download or uh, something malicious, and it runs on your company's machine, it becomes a huge risk for the whole company, because your machine is connected to all the other machines in that department, right? Whether it's being connected locally through LAN or through WLAN or something like that. Because the once you get into a machine, horizontal escalation, or you could say that getting other machines which are on the same hierarchy as your machine becomes not very easy, but it's more easier than vertical upscale, mm, what would you say, escalation, right? So this is very important for that context. So here is the problem: HTTPS proxy reads everything is you can filter cache, can log, everything is encrypted. Now this is a very important, or I could say very interesting topic. Now what first thing that came in my mind when I read this, is like, first I'll read it out and I'll talk about what I thought of the first thing when I read this thing, right? So this is something called, so as you know, proxies, can't read data through HTTPS because the data is encrypted, right? But in the context of a company, you need to read the data through HTTPS traffic only, because HTTPS is being used for every company almost right now, and nobody uses HTTP, right? So proxy install his own certificate on every employee's device, right? So a company creates a SSL certificate. You might have come across this certificate when visit some malicious website, and there is certificate error being popped up on your screen, or something like, if you have used a Bob suit. This is a very common thing. When you install Bob suit on your machine, what happens is that sometimes, or most of the times, you need to install the Burp CS certificate from their website into your browser, in whichever browser you are using the proxy, right? So if you are using a proxy on a Firefox, as a Firefox extension, which most people commonly do, is that you need to go to the website. I'll just show you, right? Burp.ca, burp.ca, burp.ca. Okay, birth certificate. Birth certificate. Birth CS certificate. The results from the Sage browser is like shared. Birth CS certificate download. Hmm. HTTP birth suit. Okay, let me HTTP birth suit. Yeah. I just forgot that we need to open the website and then go into that section where we can download the certificate. So let's just forget that for now. Keep your mind and what I'm talking about. So yeah. So when employee visits as a proxy interprets and decrypts the traffic. So this certificate which I talked about is used to decrypt the traffic, right? So decryption of the data which is being transferred is the functionality, or I could say the use case of the certificate which we install on the browser, right? In the browser. So it reads everything and re-encrypts it and forwards it to the site. So everything is done by the certificate because certificate has algorithmic data, or we could say key value pairs. I don't know exactly what it contains. I would be honest, and it must contain some algorithm or some key value pairs through which the encryption and decryption take place. I don't think the algorithm is present. I think that's there is some information like encoded version of some keys or something like that, which is used for encryption and decryption. Both are listed with man in the middle letter with the company's permission. But the regular so now, as we have read about this, now I'll talk about what I thought of. What I thought of was like that when just imagine you are a hacker, right? You are a hacker and you have some malicious intent. Or I could say, I wouldn't talk about this because I think this will go against the YouTube's, you know, content policy and something like that. But let's just imagine you're doing a penetration testing on a company's whole infrastructure, whether it be physical or, the digital aspect of it, like the web servers and all. Let's just imagine you're doing a penetration testing and you find out that there are some vulnerabilities in the, you know, or you could say that you found out that about the connect method, right? So you think of using this in a way to do something interesting. So let's just hear me out. You find out a way to install the your created CS certificate or your created certificate into the company's website, or I mean all the machines in the Department of Finance. This is just an example, right? So you just the financial information, and you just install it through some way, which could be social engineering or something like that, and it is being installed across all the devices in the finance section. And now you have a proxy, right? You have a proxy and the traffic is going through your proxy. You created a proxy and you're intercepting the traffic. And because you have the certificate installed on every device and on every browser in the device, or I could say every browser in the device, right? So what happens is that the traffic goes through and you can read everything on the financial information which is being transferred, like the let's imagine you are in a banking sector, and you have installed your certificate out there, and you can see that the transfer is going from one account to another and from one account to another, and you can see the account number, the in the context of Indian banking system you have the OTP, the phone number, and all those things, right? So this becomes a huge vulnerability because you just have to install a certificate anyhow, and you need to establish a proxy, and this way it becomes a very very interesting flaw to exploit, whether you are doing a penetration testing or something like that, right? So this is the first thing which came into my mind when I read about this SSL connection or SSL transfer of the HTTPS traffic. SSL interception proxy installs it on. So yeah, let's just click on it. So why does proxy need to be the traffic going through it in the first place? So what was the answer? Okay, so why does proxy need to? So proxies, proxies need to read the data going through it because proxies are used to number one. here. Number one. Content filtering, filtering, content filtering. Then it was caching, content filtering. Then it was caching. Content filtering. Let's just give it a small example. Content filtering. Okay. Content filtering. Facebook.com. Not allowed. Only whitelisted domains allowed to visit, right? Caching is like the frequent websites, which are the frequent websites which are being visited to be cached so as to avoid overhead of resources, right? Overhead of resources. And caching, security scanning. All right, security scanning. Security scanning. Checking the files that are being downloaded for virus for malware. Logging and monitoring. Monitoring. But here the problem arises. A problem arises which are majority of the internet uses HTTPS and proxies can only read the data that is traveling that is going via HTTP. So now the proxy can't read the data, right? So now what is it? Now here comes the SSL certificate, right? SSL inspection or SSL interception. It's the SSL certificate, right? This is very interesting, bro. A company creates its own uh, I'll just hang for a while. I'll just go to the washroom and come back. Oh, this is so glitchy and buggy. Clumsy. I think the connect method is, complete. How is it? I don't think so yet. Break time.